we have some guests in studio, and let me see if we have with us Mrs. Rachel DeOcampo.
Yes.
There you are. That's right. And Ms. Maricelli Soberanis.
Yes, good morning.
Rachel and Maricelli, good morning to you.
And her young daughter.
And of course, we have
Serenity.
young lady sitting with us, and her name?
Serenity, that's what I'm saying.
Serenity?
Yes.
Wow, I love the name. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
I understand that Divine Mercy Church will be having an event. Is that what we're going to talk about this morning?
So the Feast of Divine Mercy.
Yes, the Feast of Divine Mercy.
Well, tell us about that.
And so we are celebrating our 25th anniversary, and it's also the Jubilee year of the Catholic Church.
25th
And
anniversary of Divine Mercy,
Divine
Mercy
Mercy.
The
Church.
church
Okay.
has been there 25
we were
years?
consecrated, yes.
Yes.
Wow.
On the Feast of Divine Mercy 25 years ago. So this is 8 days after Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday. And also on that day, 25 years ago, Saint Faustina was also being consecrated. Canonized.
Canonized.
Yes, she was
Saint
also.
Faustina.
Pope John Paul II canonized her on that day.
Okay.
And it was the first Divine Mercy Sunday, was the same day that our church was consecrated.
A lot
by
of
our
firsts.
bishop. Yes,
A lot of firsts, but everything ties in with this 25th anniversary.
yes. So we're having a big feast this Sunday, and we're inviting all of you to come.
So it's a mass with a.
Yeah, what's going to happen
with a.
on that day?
Tell us what will happen.
So we start with, confessions start at 10 a.m. And from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then the Mass is at 3 p.m.
Okay.
And so that's, a big celebration. And after the Mass, there will be a procession through the streets with the Holy Eucharist. And then after that, we go back to the church, and then we have food, fun, some music, and just that fellowship
Okay.
with our
What's
brothers
the
and sisters.
route of the procession? Because Father Scott told us on Tuesday that they would have been stopping at different places along the route. Where will the procession go?
Buttonwood Bay, so just around the community. So I believe Seashore Drive up to the park, and then making that U-turn around
Okay,
back
so
to
they're
Divine
staying in
Mercy.
their neighborhood.
Right.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
because
makes
we are
sense.
walking.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And the
That's
children,
a nice walk.
yes, the children would also be part of the procession.
Okay.
And the reason that we have confessions from 10 to 3 is because, so Jesus appeared to Sister Faustina several times, and she would write messages when she was alive in the 1930s. And he told her he wanted this feast to be instituted on the Sunday after Easter Sunday, and that the ocean of mercy would be opened up to the whole world. And he said, he who goes to confession and receives Holy Communion on that day will receive complete forgiveness of sins and the punishment due to sins. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Like everything that you've ever did
It's like an
before in your
opportunity
life.
to be washed clean.
Yes, a clean
Start
slate.
over.
Yes. So if you die that day, you'll go straight to
start
heaven.
Me and you?
I thought the confession would be that long because you have a lot of people, a lot of sins, Father. I'm
Yes.
busy.
Well, we want
You know.
everybody to come.
And that's a beautiful thing, that confession, because it's like what you said, you start over. Many times people feel that they have too much sins, or they're not good enough, they're too far gone. But it doesn't matter, You can always start over. It's always a new day.
And it's those people with too many sins we want too, because the church
Yeah.
was made for sinners.
The church is
Yeah.
a hospital for
So-
sinners, right?
So if you can come, it's like what they say, when you offer your gift upon the altar, if somebody has a grievance against you, you need to reconcile prior, and then,
Yes.
so it's the same thing. So from where you sit in the Catholic Church, what is important about coming out on Sunday?
Just that celebration of Divine Mercy. And the more that I'm learning about it, the more the more like Miss Rachel said, that indulgence, that going to confession on that day, celebrating the Mass, saying that prayer, it doesn't matter what you've done. It's washed away clean, and, on Judgment Day, those sins are completely forgiven and washed away. And so it's just about that starting over. Just like in baptism, you have that first start.
I grew up in a Catholic church. I'm not a practicing Catholic anymore. But I used to go to confession because it was told to do it. And the problem I always had was, do I have to remember the sin specifically? Or can I be just, encompassing, well, Father, I was not a nice person today. Is that good enough? Or do I have to say, okay, I was not nice to Anne-Marie, I was not nice to this person, or I took something I shouldn't have taken. I ask you because I know you ladies do your confession generally.
So that would be...
How specific do you get?
So there is an examination of conscience, and there are several. They're for single people, married people, for children, the one with the 10 Commandments. And so the one I like is, thou shalt not kill. And you can say, oh, but I haven't killed anyone.
Right.
But you can kill someone with your words. So that not being nice. So you don't have to be specific. You don't have to use the swear words or tell the priest who. But, just be general. And then it has to be, you are truly sorry. It's not, oh, I could curse you out and then go to confession on Sunday.
Yeah, and
that is not it.
That was another issue, How sincere are you in the confession?
And God knows your heart.
Yes.
Yes. I think
you can't lie to God.
I think a good thing to do, because, well, as a Methodist, we don't have confession proper like the Catholics, but you pray and you ask for forgiveness. And so you always slot it as the sins of omission and the sins of commission. That's very good, because that covers everything. Because there are times when we knowingly sin, and there are times when we sin and we don't know. So for those that when we do the things that we ought not to have done, and the things that we didn't know that we should have done, omission and commission.
Do you still propose like venial sin and mortal sin, different levels of sin?
Yes.
Is that still something you...
Yes, so
propose?
Mortal sins have to be confessed. So mortal sins are sins that are serious sins. You have to know that they're serious sins and you decided to commit them anyway, because those are the types of sins that the church teaches you would go straight to hell if you died in that sin, and you didn't. So venial sins are not serious, or they might be serious, but you didn't know they were serious when you committed them. So when you go to confession, you have to confess all of your mortal sins that you know of. The venial sins you don't necessarily have to. For instance, if I killed someone and I know that I know that that's a serious sin,
but you know that wrong. Might tell the police, I'm in trouble.
Well, the priests are not allowed to reveal anything that someone says.
It's not a sin for him not to do that? Because he knows this.
But he is not sitting there as himself. He's sitting there in persona Christi.
He's an intermediary.
As the person of Christ hearing your sin.
I see.
He doesn't have to report mandatorily.
But a priest might tell the person, go and tell the police, like maybe that might be their penance, but so it's on that person.
It's on them.
So we have to confess those serious sins. And you could go through the 10 Commandments, and you could ask the priest, I don't know if this is mortal or not, or look in your catechism. But those are the 3 conditions that it must be serious, and you have to know it and decide to commit it anyway. Like if someone's forced into something that might not be mortal, although if they didn't choose to do it, but someone else forced them to kill, or
And how about your age too? Because at a certain age,
Yeah, I was
you
going
might
to
be
ask that.
forced
How-
to do something.
how early
but
do you
you
start to
can't.
confess them?
You really cannot give
Consent.
permission
Yeah.
because of your age and like
Well,
that.
Well, we don't start if you're forced into it because of your age, then that's not your sin. Like if
Right.
someone's raped, you mean, or
Right.
so that's not their sin. That's the sin of the rapist.
Right. Or if you're 14 and you know we have some 14-year-olds who commit murder here. So if you're 14 and maybe you're in a gang and they have you shoot someone, you know, you're not old enough to give consent.
You might want to ask a priest about that because we do consider that the age of reason is 7, and like by that age you know what's right and wrong.
Yeah, that's a
The
young
basics,
age.
the basics, yeah.
But
to an extent.
maybe you're not as at 14 you might not be as seriously culpable,
Right.
but you
That's what
do
I
know
meant.
that it's
Right.
wrong to
Right.
kill, although the circumstances might.
At what
Right.
age do you encourage the children to go to confession? I remember
In
we, as a
preparation
small
for
small
the
kid.
Eucharist, so many times, you know,
after you
it's right.
Holy
It's
Communion
Before
and
First
confirmation.
Communion,
before
they'll do it.
First Holy Communion. And, you know, frequent confession is definitely encouraged. So once a month, I know many Catholic church or all Catholic church have a confession time. Sometimes it's after Mass on Sundays or a weekday. It can be by appointment. And so I think that is the start of, you know, being washed away clean where you feel that burden. Because sin, especially if you feel guilty, whether it's lying
It's
or
good therapy,
stealing,
you know.
cheating,
Yes.
it is
Good therapy
amazing
for
therapy.
yourself. You
Yeah.
talk to somebody.
And
It's
it
good.
gives you humility, like to have to sit and
Right.
tell
You,
someone.
Yeah,
you,
humility.
you find that people at your church would readily go to confession, and you find that some would say, well, I don't want to go to confession because I don't want the priest to be knowing my business or telling people about my business. I'm just looking at the confidentiality piece because you know how we are, but I just wanted to know what people are saying.
So I think that, you know, because I've asked the priest about it, and it's more like, especially when you're doing confessions for 5 hours straight, you're not going to remember the 100 people that you
Right,
spoke
true.
to. And, you know, they're so busy. So we might feel guilty and remember and, you know, think, oh, I had to say this to a priest. But in reality, they're not going to remember. They're going to forget it by tomorrow. And they're bound to, you know, not say anything about it. So even in conversation, they could never mention
Right,
anything
but-
you said to them.
But what are people saying? I'm not worried about the priest telling people anything. I'm not worried about that. I am worried about how people respond to going to confession based on the fact that, well, I don't want to say that because I don't want them to know my business. So that is what I'm talking about. How
I
people's
think
response.
some people might want to go to a priest that isn't their pastor. Like
Right.
maybe they go to another.
Because you can
Not
do
a
that, right?
Catholic
Yes,
church
you
to
can.
do
You can have a
confession, right?
confessor that's from a different parish than yours, or maybe you feel like you're too close to your priest and you don't, like maybe some of your sins are because you're mad at him for giving too long a homily or I don't know. So you want to confess it to other people.
But what do you hear people saying? I don't want you to give me like like just pie in the sky. What do you hear your congregants saying? Like in terms of they going for confession. How do they look at it?
I believe at our church it's definitely encouraged and welcome, to the point that there's penance service. So usually around Advent for Christmas, you know, for Easter, you want that fresh start. And so
Right.
they have a service where they bring in about 3 to 4 different priests from other parishes. And sometimes it's an hour, 2 hours wait that
Really?
you're waiting for
People look
confession.
forward to it.
And so, especially for Divine Mercy Sunday, that's why we get in a lot of priests, because there are a lot of persons there. And so it can be definitely a long wait.
Okay.
So it's definitely
Who
something
hears the priest
encouraged.
confession?
Other priests.
Another priest.
Other priests.
Because it's a lot of, to you it's a burden, you know.
Yeah.
It
This
is.
everybody-
Burden they
it's
take
a burden
on.
They take on
You know?
this and they have to deal with it, and they have to let
They
it
have
out
to release
somewhere.
too.
I
And
mean,
that is why, as a priest, they have the prayers that they should do
Mm-hmm.
5 times a day. They should celebrate Mass, and so
Mm-hmm.
they can hear each other's confession.
how big is your congregation at Divine Mercy? It's one of the. When it comes to popularity, I know it's one of the more popular churches in the city, isn't it? Every time Sunday you pass there, the parking lot full. You know,
It's raising up
everybody's in
more
there.
now.
You know something interesting, that at 12:15 during this Lent there was a Mass.
Oh, we had
And
service too for that time. Yeah.
It was so beautiful because there are people that you've never seen.
Yeah, people come
And
from
so
work
that's
and-
something
yeah.
that you would want to think that, wow, it is something that's needed, where that lunch break, you offer that up to go celebrate
People
Mass.
yeah, that's one of the issues the church is facing. That people only go to Mass at specific times of the year, and the rest of the year they don't go.
Yeah, you see
You know.
more people come on Ash Wednesday than you do on Easter Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Ash Wednesday is definitely, I would say, one of the most popular times where you can't find a seat in
And
in
it's
the
not
church.
even
People-
a required day to attend
People
Mass.
come for their ash,
And I guess-
and that is it, because the church is filled with the non-regulars on those days, and
And
it's
I-
just like for Christmas,
And then the
whole
regulars get
Advent
upset as well.
season. Well, I don't really get upset, but I take note of it that it's unfortunate that we can't see them every time. So
Yeah.
that's my note taking, as opposed to get upset. No, I'm glad that they come. I just want to see them more often.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
And
I
it
want them
shows
to
that
be
they
there every
still
Sunday.
have that conscience that, okay, it's the
Deep
beginning
down,
of Lent,
deep down,
Ash
I need-
Wednesday.
Yes.
I
I need
want
to
that
get it.
fresh start. I need
Yeah.
to get that.
Right.
Yeah.
Any special services regarding the Pope's memorial, or for the Pope?
So I do know on Monday there was a service and the church bells were rung 88 times. I believe that happens, worldwide across the entire world. And on Monday, so the day, I believe the 28th of April,
It was the 21st.
next week Monday is
next
the
Oh.
service at Holy Redeemer, because that is our cathedral.
Yes.
So any
Right.
big mass is celebrated there. And I
Right.
believe all the priests, are going to be
After
there.
his burial on Saturday, then Monday
Yes.
is the service. Okay, so what after Sunday, and we have this big 25th anniversary celebration at Divine Mercy. What else do we have for the Jubilee year? Anything coming up at Divine Mercy?
There is the Art Under the Stars, and that is an annual fundraiser for the
Yes,
school.
yes.
That is the May 31st, I believe. That is another big event. And
That's
Saturday,
from Mother of Mercy Montessori.
Oh, the Montessori school.
yes,
okay.
and the Saturday is a day for the youths. The youth, what is
There's
it
a
called?
youth rally this Saturday. It's not at Divine Mercy. It's in Orange Walk, I believe.
Okay.
Um,
And that's part of the
an
Jubilee
all-day
year.
thing. Yes. Well, they usually have it the Saturday before Divine Mercy Sunday.
Okay.
So the Saturday after Easter, and it would be at different locations throughout the country. But during the Jubilee, Divine Mercy is a sacred site for the Jubilee
Jubilee
year.
year,
So there are set churches or chapels throughout the world. There are set sites that are sacred sites, and you can make a pilgrimage there, and you would gain a plenary indulgence. So we're having, anytime you visit, you can visit us, and if you go to confession within about 20 days and receive communion on that day and pray for the intentions of the Pope, which, well, I guess when we have a new Pope again, because now we're in,
Right.
the see is vacant. But we're having some special presentations. We've had some school children come, and we'll start up again when school reopens. And they come for some presentations that we're doing on Sister Faustina and the Divine Mercy message.
Okay.
How is it that you ladies were picked to do this? What's your role in the church? Obviously, you're very active in there.
I would just say, I'm a willing Divine Mercy parishioner who isn't scared to come on the media. And I'm always, Father Scott is always trying to get people to do more. And that work of mercy, to live the message of mercy.
I've been a parishioner there for about 22 years. And so I guess I know a lot about the message of mercy.
So you're one of the originals.
I was able to
But you're
come
just
today.
a parishioner, Ken, because you just can't take a parishioner. I look at my church or any church, you just can't take a parishioner. It doesn't matter how long they're worshiping to say, so just go on the media and talk about so and so. Aren't you involved in any other aspect of the church? You have to be.
Yes.
So tell us. That's what we're talking
Okay.
about. That's what we're talking about.
I'm one of the people that's giving the presentations during the Jubilee year because my daughter is dressing up as St. Faustina and she tells the story
There you
of
go.
St. Faustina.
See?
So I do that. I teach natural family planning, especially to couples who are preparing for marriage. I'm one of the readers at church. So whatever little things that Father has a lot of little things and
I
big
know
things
you're not
that he
just a
always
parishioner.
gives to
Don't
people.
downgrade it because I am steep at my church, so I know it's just not just a parishioner.
Right,
So
right.
tell me what you do. Tell me how you're involved.
So
at
I am
Divine
in
Mercy.
charge of the
Yes.
RCIA, the Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults. So if someone wants to become part of the church, I set up the classes and we have different parishioners who assist with that. I'm also part of the prison ministry. And we go on Saturdays, and that is definitely one of the works of mercy that visit the prisoners, because it's amazing that you gain so much from visiting them. Like they gain a lot, but just the persons who visit as well, and just pray with them, read the word, have some sharing with them. I'm also part of the choir, and I am a reader.
See?
Okay, sounds like your version in the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to come to my church yet still.
I don't know.
I also do the nursing home. We go to Golden Haven Rest Home. We're going this afternoon for 3:00. If anyone wants to come to
administer
Golden
communion
Haven,
and-
we'll have a mass.
Okay. All right.
Father Scott will come, and we always need people to come. A lot of people don't come because it's at 3:00 in the afternoon, a work day, and it's in Hattieville. So
right.
if anyone has the time and ability.
Good for you.
And feel so
We're
moved
talking
they
about
can come.
volunteerism earlier today,
Yeah.
and that this is what's important.
And this is
Giving
how
of
the church
yourself.
survives,
Yep.
because the church doesn't have money to pay people. And certain things you should not pay for, especially things like this. This is
Okay,
service
just remind us again what's happening.
Sunday.
So
On
come
Sunday?
to Sunday, Divine Mercy. You can stop in from 10 a.m. for confessions, and the Mass is at 3 p.m.
Okay.
And everyone's invited.
Everyone's invited.
Yeah.
So Catholics, non-Catholics, come just as you are.
The floodgates of mercy will be opened.